welcome to a very special episode of Codename New to Vero 2. I'm your presenter, Shabu RU. On May 16, 2016, the world lost one of the most iconic figures in heavy metal and music. That name is none other than Ronnie James Dio. Ronnie first appeared on the world map with a group called Rainbow, but it wasn't until his entry, along with Ozzy's departure, into the force known as Black Sabbath, where Dio's name has become synonymous with heavy metal music. What's interesting is some people may argue that the Dio Sabbath catalog is actually better than the Ozzy Sabbath catalog. Again, people argue. I like both. I mean, Ronnie James Dio's voice is up there with Freddie Mercury, in my opinion. When Children of the Sea, Neon Nights, Mob Rules, I mean, Ronnie's voice was one of those things that was just epic. His voice was an instrument and something to marvel at in itself. Now, around that time in the 80s, what could be, if you take the metal music and of course the video game craze and mesh them together, will they have the same results as the action movies and video games? Because let's be honest, and if you watch the Video Game Nerd, you could see that those were recipes for disaster. But there was one video game that actually didn't come to North America. We never had the chance to play it. It was released in Japan. So in this video, we're going to highlight that video game. And I think you're going to be surprised as much as I was on how this game turned out. So without further ado, let's take a look at Holy Diver. Released in Japan only in 1989 by game developer Irem. They were famous for their side-scroller shooting R-Type series. Their first hit was actually Kung Fu Masters, which turned into the iconic NES game Kung Fu. The game was based on Dio's 1983 solo album Holy Diver. Here is where the problem starts. The game was created and released without getting the official seal of approval from the Dio camp. All indications point to Dio being totally okay with it and having no issues. But for some reason, Irem just never bothered to simply ask and go through the right channels. I'm sure some compensation would have been asked, but again, all reports indicate that would have been just normal and nothing extraordinary. And Dio seemed to be on board with all of it. No one bothered to ask him. That was the problem. So before it was ready to be sent to the US, it was axed. The game has become a rare collector's piece. And it's also to note that Famicom carts and NES carts are shaped and designed differently. So an unaltered NES, our NES in America, cannot play Famicom games, and they're also region locked. Repo cards have been produced recently and are also available to be downloaded and uploaded onto your NES Classic Edition, by not the normal way. Anyways, metal fans will love that other iconic musicians such as Randy Rhoads and Zakk Wylde are figures in the game, and yes, even the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy, which is it's funny because he's actually Dio's servant. So, as a fan, Dio always seemed to come out as being classy when the Ozzy and him rift was going on in the media. Ozzy pretty much got himself kicked out of Sabbath. The other characters, Zakk and Randy Rhoads, were Ozzy's guitar players, so that makes even a little bit more no sense at all. It seems like the people that created the game knew a little bit, but not everything about Dio. Nonetheless, the story feels and has a Castlevania tone. The game has all the elements to suck, but in reality, it's a really good game. And I'm kind of terrible at games, but I enjoyed this, and even the levels I advanced to. The story takes place on the 666th year of the world of magic. The kingdom is about to be wiped out by the Black Slayer, the demon king of the underground. The Emperor, Ronnie, entrusts his infant sons, Zack and Randy, to Ozzy. Ozzy teaches them, gets them ready for battle, but Ozzy suddenly passes away. And what makes matters worse is the infant sons go disappearing. So Ronnie has to go on a quest to get his boys back and destroy the Black Slayer. Again, this is one of those things you don't expect to be good. I mean, it has all the elements for it to be bad and be on the angry video game nerd. But once you play this game, it is amazing. It's a lot of fun to play. And if you like Castlevania, I think this will be right up your alley. So I have this one going through my NES Classic Edition, and just for you guys to get a feel and the look of this game. And again, the colors and everything are really excellently done, and I really enjoyed it a lot. And I think it's one of those hidden gems that, you know, you'll discover and really enjoy. Well, that's it with today's episode. I hope it was informative, and thank you for watching.